Hello, hello. What's up? I don't know how much I'm gonna get done today because I have to leave in about an hour. But my plan is to plant my triple crop and my Grand Marshalls into the high tunnel. The last 2 nights, actually I should show you, the last 2 nights we did freeze. I told you guys about that. So all of my potatoes and the potatoes that, like, what's it called, self-seeded, that had like germinated, all died. All of the beans that came up, they all died. So these beds had lots of volunteer potatoes and they died. There are some volunteer, there's a potato there, and then there were some more all in those 2 beds. They all completely died. But with potatoes, even though the tops may die, the tubers can still come back, and so I am still leaving them in the ground to finish coming back, or come back, I should say, not finish coming back. But my tomatoes that I did try, I sacrificed them. I knew planting them about 2 or 3 weeks ago could have resulted in disaster, and it has. I put buckets over them, but it did not help at all. I came out yesterday, I think it was, yesterday morning, and saw that they were, the beans around them had died, obviously, because it frosted. It got down to 31, and which is so crazy because the sunflowers in this bed, let me show you. The sunflowers right next to it, some of them got damaged, but a lot of them didn't. But the tomato that I put a bucket over died, so then the next night I didn't bother to cover it because it already looked like that. So nothing happened. But as you can see, all of the beans around it died. This one, the same thing. It looks like it all died. But then there's like one leaf here that is definitely still alive. So I'm thinking about leaving this one in the ground, which I knew planting them. I only planted them just as an experiment to see if I could protect them, because I knew it wasn't close to my last frost date. It was still like a month away. But I had extra not Homestead, what is it called, determinate tomatoes. I'm looking for my stand. I had extra determinate tomatoes, and so I decided to risk it, and it didn't pay off. So which is fine. I still have, I chose the varieties that I had a bunch of, so I'm not lacking on determinate tomatoes to put back to replace those. But I have my these are trellising tomatoes in here. So these 3 in the blue containers are triple crops, and then I have 4 Grand Marshalls. This bed is an 8-foot bed, and so I use my shovel for spacing, which I guess is a little over a foot of spacing, since this is an 8-foot bed and that is 7 tomatoes. I am going to keep these pruned to a 1-liter plant, and then have them trellis from the top of this cattle panel. And yeah, so let me get planting. I did bring out this is the fertilizer that my dog Winter has been chewing through the bag. I'm going to use some of this to plant the tomatoes. I have been bottom watering, so you can see that the roots have been growing out the bottom, which is excellent. They're dripping wet because they're just in water. But I definitely want to get these planted because some of them, like, showing yellowing because I haven't fed these at all. I've just potted them up and just been watering them. So definitely want to get them in the ground and get fertilized.
Right in each hole.
Put some in each hole. Yep. handful and put it in each hole. So I dug each hole, and then Niall went and put in the fertilizer in each hole. I couldn't go super deep because down there's wood chips, and so I just went as far as I could down before I hit the wood chips, which it's still pretty deep. The whole cup could fit in there, and so it would be about here. But I know they tell you to plant your tomatoes, you know, to like the first set of true leaves, but this bed isn't that deep. It should be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and plant them now. What I do like to do when I'm planting new things is water the hole first, just so that I make sure that there's water in the hole instead of like, and then I water at the end. But you want to water now?
Yeah.
Can you water each hole? That way I ensure that there's water in each hole and that there's enough water down there. It should be fine because these plants are, let me get one out, show you. They are really, really wet. I am going to, you can see right there, I am going to shovel up or mix up the roots a little bit before I put them in the ground. This is really tall. Let's see. Hi, Nia.
Hi.
But yeah, and it's already dripping wet, so it should be fine. But for other plants, I do like to water the hole just to make sure that I put enough water, because you know sometimes like you can water and then you think like there's enough water and then you put your finger like 1 inch down and the water didn't even like go like from the top layer. And so that is why I like to water the hole and then plant it and then water again. So that's what I'm going to do. Where's my shovel? Okay, that's my shovel. I recruited the help of my son because he has to go to his baseball game tonight and we have to leave in 10 minutes. So yeah, we're just planting them as deep as you can into the hole. You can move the soil around. This is nice because it's not super stunted, like the soil's super movable. Are you pitching this night?
I don't know.
Let's put that tag on the first one because that's so I know all 3 of these is that one. Okay, this is probably the most exciting time. I should go back and water them in with some liquid fertilizer so that they have a quick release of fertilizer, since those were granules. Okay, change of plans, outfit change. My husband ended up dropping my son off. So I still have about 30 minutes. And with that, I'm going to use, thank you, I am going to get some potatoes planted in this bed. My girls weeded it for me a few minutes ago. Let me turn you around. So I have red potatoes that I got from my farm store. This whole bag was $5, and I'm going to plant those. So, whoops, and then, whoops, I have Yukon Gold. There's a bad one in there that I'll take out. This is another Yukon Gold. But then yesterday, I also got some bags of these organic bite-size potatoes. These ones aren't organic, but I got them because I planted store-bought potatoes in the past and they've done fine. Organic potatoes, I planted them last year. So got some more. I'm gonna plant them because I do want to fill out this whole bed with the potatoes. So I'm going to actually pour them out. I don't see myself getting to planting all of these potatoes in the amount of time I have. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely going to get them all laid out and spaced out. Ooh. So that is a bad one. Even though it does have some hard spots on there. Maybe if I was to cut the bad part off, it would be fine. But they have sprouted. These sprouted way more. And then I also have potatoes that I planted last year and harvested. Those are my potatoes, and I forgot about that actually. I don't have those out there with me. Maybe we'll plant those in the forever garden beds. I don't know, but I'm just gonna start with this. I completely forgot as I was laying this out that tomatoes still have to go in here, so I'm only gonna actually plant 3 in a row going down so that I can leave like a foot of open space to plant the tomatoes. So now I definitely know that I'll have to plant potatoes in another bed because I think this will actually be too much for this bed. If you're wondering what all these circles are on top of the bed, that is rabbit poop. That I cleaned out the rabbit containers and I just planted I just threw the rabbit manure right on top of this bed. You don't have to wait for rabbit manure to compost or anything like that. It composts, it is ready. Oh, this one's distracted. That one was really moldy. This rabbit manure is available right away. So it's not hot. It's considered a cold fertilizer, so you can use it and you don't have to wait for it to break down or anything like that. So it is all laid out, and I have this neem meal that I am going to use to sprinkle in each planting hole. Like I said, I left that row empty because tomatoes are going to go on this trellis, and I still have all of these potatoes left, plus the potatoes that I have from last year. I have about 10 more minutes. I said that earlier, right? I have about 10 more minutes. I actually let me talk and plant. So like I was saying earlier, I got my ginger and turmeric planted, and so that was really exciting. Sometimes when I have like a lot of planting to do, I get overwhelmed, and then it makes me not want to do anything. And it was definitely one of these times where I'm like, I didn't plant my cucumbers yet, I didn't plant my squashes yet, and we're like less than 2 weeks away from our last frost and all of these things. But I decided I'm just going to go ahead and plant little by little and do the next thing in front of me, which I know that it's time to plant potatoes in my area. Actually, I could have planted them a couple weeks ago, maybe not a couple weeks, maybe just 1 week ago. So I'm not super late, obviously. We just had that frost and yesterday. So it's fine, it's perfect timing. But I also wanted to say, so this is neem meal. I know I said that I'm using to put trying to get this weed out. This is neem meal that I'm using, and apparently, so neem meal is made from like the neem oil that you would use to like repel bugs and stuff. And apparently it's supposed to help with like potatoes because it stops the bugs that want to like eat potatoes in the ground. So I've never tried it, but I'm trying it this year. Since these already have sprouts, I'm not planting them super deep. I actually thought about getting a load of compost and putting it on this bed. I did with my other loads of compost, fill up some other raised beds, but I didn't technically amend this bed. I know I'm adding the neem meal, but I might still go ahead. Shadow, the cat. So I was only able to get about almost half of the bed planted. It is time for me to leave. I'm going to leave those right where they're planted or where they're spaced out, and I will come back to them tomorrow.